This is Mike Webb. I'm running for the 93rd District of the state of Kansas, pretty much southwest Sedgwick County, south central Sedgwick County from K-15 in Mulvane, north up to 71st Street, and then across around the borders of the city limits of Wichita, and then up to 400, and then west to Cheney, then south down to Viola, and then back across the county line. But I wanted to get on here today and discuss with you a little bit about my platform and explain to you what we can do to fix a lot of the issues and problems that we have. What I'm going to do right now first is I'm just going to read to you the list of things that I have here. There's a tremendous amount of work to do in the government, and some people believe that our system is just broken and cannot be fixed. A lot of people believe that, as a matter of fact. It's a bad time for America today, it really is. But we're going to address taxation, healthcare, criminal justice reform, and education, agriculture, government spending, self-sufficiency, and medical marijuana. But before we get started on those kind of things, I wanted to touch base on, the world. I woke up this morning and it's like the world is on fire right now. We just got off of this COVID-19 lockdown. Some people are still experiencing it. Some people think we still should be. Probably some people are still at home, At the end of the day, my belief system on that is that the government can discuss with us what they think we should do, or give a recommendation, but they cannot order you to do anything. They work for us. We're not breaking the law when you open your business or when you go down the street. And if you have concerns, then you should stay at home. You can even contact me if you live in the Hayesville area or whatever, and you need something or whatever. I know lots of people who'd be love to help you. You can stay home. They'll make sure the products and things that you may need to stay home and be safe are delivered to you safely, cleaned up, sanitary, all that kind of, the good stuff, and we'd be more than happy to help you. And if you're afraid and think that that's what's best for you, then we applaud you and we'll stand beside you also. We stand for, freedom, period, all the way across the board. So this morning I woke up and the world's on fire. Minneapolis is just unbelievable right now. Things are going on everywhere. And, obviously I support law enforcement, but there are bad people everywhere. And, maybe he was just an abuser. I'm not going to get into it like that, but all I'm going to say is that if they had just arrested the officers and then gone through normal standard procedure for the arrests in a suspected crime, none of this would have happened. So, we're going to get into all that kind of stuff with criminal justice reform because it needs a lot of work. Overall, law enforcement does a great job. Sometimes we don't pay attention to the type of things that they're up against. But Minneapolis just had some other bad things happen just a few years ago that were unwarranted, and I don't think that it was taken care of properly, and so it has fueled this fire. But my main concern is Kansas. Let's worry about Kansas. The rest of the world is on fire. There's no doubt about it, and we need to have answers. We don't need to be trying to figure out what's going on. We need to be proactive. We need to figure out what we can do to protect our state, and we need to start taking steps to actually get that done. Which, unfortunately for me, changes a lot of the things that I wanted to do coming into a legislative position into the government. And I know as a freshman, they limit you, and there's only certain things that you can do, but that's okay. I guarantee you there's a lot that we can do. But some of the things that we're going to have to address is we're going to go straight to some of the meat of those, I guess. Let's just get to those issues. With agriculture and self-sufficiency, these are a couple of real key things that we need right now. Beef prices are going up because they're having trouble with meat packing plant, with butcheries and stuff like that, meat packing plants. Everybody's either sick or shut down or booked till next year. And I've been a part of some farming groups and things on Facebook and watching things develop, and I've learned that there's a lot of unnecessary regulation that needs to be cut out right now. Definitely. I don't know why it's in there in the first place. I'm sure it's to protect large interests. And so these are the things we need to get away from. And that's how I intend to help the Republican Party, because we need to start showing each individual person that we care about them, and that everything we do isn't geared toward just people with money or corporations and stuff, because we do care about other people. I think the big disconnect there is that in the minds of most conservatives, we help corporations because they help the people. Well, not everybody works for a corporation. And in this day and age, most people are small business owners. The majority, there's a huge amount of small business owners. And to the federal government, a small business is anybody under 500 employees. I mean, that means that they pay out about $4 million in salaries every single year, and that's at minimum wage. That's not a small business. You know, if you pay out $4 million in salaries, you're not a small business. That's just the way it is. You know, I would venture that probably 50 employees and under is probably a small business. Most of us have 2 or 3 employees. So we gotta break that disconnect. We gotta start working towards making things more affordable for people. Give you a good example. Well, anyway, that's what I would like to do. There's a whole bunch there. We can get all into that, and I'm sure I will as we go, because I like to get into these kinds of things. I feel like it's very important. And at the very least, the message needs to get out there and to be heard. So let's go back to this agriculture and stuff and this kind of thing. I believe that Kansas needs to be, especially in this day and age with all of the world on fire all around us, we need to make sure that we are self-sufficient. And while we're doing that, we can also bring new industry to Kansas. We can, create new jobs, and Lord knows we need that right now. And a lot of this is really simple. It's all based around agriculture and beef products and things like that. Well, the things that New York produces for us, or the things that California produces for us, is probably luxury items at the very least. And oil prices are in the mud. And realistically, the only reason that they are what they are is so that the oil companies can function without just spending $31 a barrel to make it. Normally they sell for $55 a barrel. Now they're paying $31 a barrel. Now I'm pretty sure they've fixed that with this price jump, because the price has gone up about 50 cents a gallon, 60 cents a gallon since its lowest drop in pricing. And then, so the point of that though is that we have the most valuable resources right now. Beef, wheat. We have tools that we can use now to leverage and make Kansas strong. We need to do that right now. Okay? We have to do that right now. And some of these ideas right here especially are, they're kind of just ideas. I have to definitely delve in here and look in here, but we got to cut out the middleman for sure. I should be able to go to my local farmer and buy anything I want. If I want to buy a cow, I can have to buy a cow. If I want my buddy to butcher it, or the neighbor to butcher it, or the actual butcher to butcher it, there shouldn't be a bunch of regulations keeping me from just being able to do that. There shouldn't be any regulations on me going to buy fruit, corn, anything I want. And the reason that there is not laws protecting me. They're laws protecting big interests. And we know that because I grew up in kind of southwest Sumner County. I grew up about 15 miles north of the Oklahoma line. And until I was 6 or 7 years old, we drank goat's milk. We had a nanny. And that's what I drank when I was a kid. And we had horses and stuff. We got our other products from the neighbor down the road, and grew our own garden. And so I remember how it was when nobody cared about that kind of stuff. Now I see posts about raw milk, okay, just put a warning label on it. Say, hey, if you do it this way, there's a possibility that these things could happen as a result of that. That's all we need. Just give us the guidelines, let us make our own choices. That's what America's about. It's about personal freedom. Now, I'm a constitutional Republican. Let's not get this twisted. The idea that they say conservative, it kind of confuses me, because every year we pass new bills, new law with new and greater restrictions. So how is that conservative? I mean, I bet you we've passed new laws, how many for the last 20 years? 5, 10 a year for the last 20 years. So that means, 200 laws, that's conservative. I don't get it. I don't understand. Conservative would be, well, I don't want to pass any new laws. I don't think we need that right now, or whatever the case may be. Some laws have needed to be addressed. I think we need to spend a year repealing laws before we start writing new ones. So anyway, back to what I was kind of thinking. I think we should enter into a compact with probably Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, very likely Arkansas. And we should leverage our beef and wheat products and our grain, our corn. And if we need to start making it more easily accessible for us, for Kansans, for local communities, to the local farmers. But this coalition thing I was talking about, I apologize, I kind of got it. There's so much here. When you really start looking, and that's why people say, you can't fix it, because there's a lot to do, a whole lot. But anyway, so the idea here is to leverage things so that, let me figure out how to word that. We need to leverage our resources to our benefit. Beef and corn and all that kind of thing. We need to, blend that in so that, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross this over into medical care for right now. I know that made it kind of jumps from thing to thing, but they're all interconnected in one way or another, I promise you. If we sit down and just look at the whole thing and how everything needs to be fixed, the problem with one winds right into the problem with the other. So you could actually solve all of this, if we just follow these lines and go through it. But anyway, so pharmaceutical medical care, I'm against Medicaid expansion because I'm against the government controlling medical care. I'm really against the government controlling as little as possible. As much as I don't want them controlling as little as possible. We don't need a bunch of government. We need me and you. We need to work together to figure out the solutions that work. We don't need somebody telling us not to do that or don't do that or whatever. We need to figure out, because we decide what they can tell us is right or wrong. We decide that. The people in the community, we get together and we decide that. I know everybody's given up on politics. They're like, oh man, nothing's going to change. I don't even care. I'm not going to vote. And I know lots of people who say that, and I know a few of them, they're going to go in and vote for me now. But pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies, doctors' organizations, and I know this is going to make some people so angry. And I get it, because that's where their funding comes from. It's where their money comes from. And when you talk about coming after that kind of thing, it makes them mad. But here's the thing. It's unfair, okay? Canada, Mexico, drugs are cheaper everywhere. That's not okay. You're just straight taking advantage of us because you believe we have the money to pay it. And our government does, but we don't. The people don't have the money to do that kind of stuff. And so what can we do about that? How can we fix that? Well, we need to bring these people to the table. We need to discuss ways that corporations, small business owners, insurance companies, doctors' organizations, pharmaceutical companies, that we need to all come to the table, just like Trump's kind of doing. Trump's been working it out or whatever, but we need a state level plan. We need a state level plan. We need to stop waiting on somebody else to make decisions for us. We need to start making our own decisions. And so what we need to do is we need to bring these companies, these organizations together. We need to sit them down and we need to discuss how they feel is a good way that each one of them can pitch in just this much to help us find ways to get medical care to more people, virtually everyone. There's going to be people who are not going to be covered, I'm sure, but we have to get into it and we have to really pull it apart and look at it. The medical care thing, I think that private industry is just like criminal justice reform, to be honest with you. You and me, okay? You and me, private industry, can help in all these ways. We need to make it where medical plans, because right now your child can be on your insurance until they're 26 years old. That's the way the law's written. That's what they got going on. So what if we extended that in some way to the age of 39 and then took the parents' premiums and split them over all of the children? So if you had 4 children, then whatever your normal premium would be, it flips over to them. Now you're all still on the same family plan. Now, this has to be broke down in several different ways, because some kids these days don't work. Everybody's got somebody living in some family member's basement. It's just the way the world has developed today, and it's a sad deal. But I believe we can get it together and fix it, because a lot of people feel rejected by the world because of the way that the world is. Maybe we can change it, maybe we can't, but hopefully Kansas, we can do some things here. It's not that big a state. We've got 3 million people. Anyway, then once they're 39, the kid, their premiums would split over to their kids, and then everybody's covered on the same family plan from life to death. We can break that down and take a look at it, and see what it looks like. But then we can get help from private industry, from pharmaceutical companies, doctors' organizations, insurance companies. And our leverage is beef. Our leverage is agriculture. Listen, my people need medical care, okay? There's huge shortages. Everybody's having problems. I got to worry about my people. And if they're not getting their medications at a lower cost, especially the way everything is being so scary and unstable right now, we're going to start tariffing beef and grain that leaves the state. And we can enter into a compact with Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas. And do you know why? Because we produce products that they have to have. Not products that they need, not products that they would like to have. They have to have. The United States of America cannot operate without us, without our beef, without our agriculture. And it's time that we became strong. It's time that we deserve that. You know, I mean, Kansas is one of the highest tax states around, and there's no reason for it. We don't have enough people for that to happen. The problem is we need to start worrying about Kansas, and we need to take stands and steps to do that very thing. So those are a couple of things that I guess that kind of that gets into the self-sufficiency thing. You know, I think that the hemp bill severely limited farmers. It really hurt our agriculture department. Nobody got to do anything hardly with hemp products because the law was so restrictive, which is another thing we have to get away from. Why are we writing all these tight restrictions on things like this? You know, we wrote it against federal law. You know, we're more restrictive than federal law, which is against the federal law. It says this bill will be introduced or, duplicated in each state with in the least restrictive manner possible. That's the language. In the least restrictive manner possible. So this bill is unconstitutional. And it was actually challenged in Indiana because they did the same thing. And the Supreme Court there stopped it temporarily because there were some CBD shops or hemp shops or whatever that were selling flower, and they wrote the law and it was against that law, and they challenged it, and it's currently in the air because it's unconstitutional. It's wrong. So Kansas's law is wrong and it needs to be fixed. There's lots of them. We need to stop passing bills just to plug a hole. We need to fix it and get it done right. But anyway, agriculture, hemp products, we need to start making plastics. There's no reason in the world that, and I'm sure that we could put together a plan, okay, to get private industry in here, I guarantee you, who will help build us a manufacturing facility somewhere in western Kansas. All the hemp farms around, they'll be able to bring their products in there. We'll be able to make hemp plastics, all of the clothes, who knows? But we need to get that built, and we need to promote that getting built because that also makes Kansas more self-sufficient. You know, once we are producing products and somebody needs to take production from China anyway. Why can't we do it here in Kansas? You know, we got all kinds of room for manufacturing. We've just lost a bunch of jobs. It's a prime time. It's time now. It's time to strike. This is the time. I mean, the whole world is on fire. We not only need to strike for the benefit of it, but we need to strike just to protect ourselves. We need to start making moves to do things to strengthen our state. And I'm not just talking about sitting up here and arguing about this or that or whatever. And I know that I can't just magically wave a wand and make things change. And that I have to get other people willing to work with me. And I get that. And I hope that they will, because we can choose to take the same path we're going down. And I'm a Republican. And as I watch the way that the party is going, I notice one consecutive thing. One thing that just keeps going on. And that is that we keep losing population centers. Why is that happening? And what does that mean in the long run? What that means is that eventually, if we don't show people that we care about them, eventually we are going to lose. And right now is a very, very intense tipping point. I mean, it's getting ugly in the world. And we need strong leadership. We need leadership who has an idea, at least, of where to go and what to do. I will never stop asking questions. If I say, hey, can we do this? And somebody says, no, we can't do that. Why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? We violate the Kansas Constitution in numerous places. So we can go all the way back and fix the Kansas Constitution if necessary. We have the ability to do anything we want. Anything we want. All we have to do is do it. Come up with a good, solid plan that's fair, it's not restrictive, that allows people to choose for themselves, and then maybe we can make a difference. So I'll get back on here again here pretty soon and go over a couple of other things, but those are the main ones right now, mainly because of what's going on in the world. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that we need to address in the state as a whole, but right now we need to protect ourselves first and foremost. Thank you.